is good! Beer is good! Beer is good! And stop!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Beer Chasers. I'm Preston, and today we're going to be trying the peanut butter chocolate stout that we brewed in the last episode. So last time we went over the ingredients, I showed you the brew day, and today we're cracking it open. Super excited to try this one. Can't wait any longer. Stick around. Check it out. Alright, without further ado, let's pour the peanut butter chocolate stout. See how it looks. Nice and dark. There's carbonation. It's always a good sign. Oh, there's carbonation, alright. Oh my goodness. Woo, look at that thing. Maybe a little aggressive there, but definitely carbonated. If I recall correctly, I volumed this to 3/4 of a cup of corn sugar. Should have put it, I guess, somewhere in the 2.6 area. Maybe it should have gotten a little lighter, but sometimes I'd rather have it overcarbed than undercarbed, I guess. But yeah. Alright, let's let this settle down a little bit, then we'll go for a taste. Alright, so we just finished the pour on the peanut butter chocolate stout. We've let it die down a little bit here just so we can get a good taste on it. And looking at the appearance, it's dark. You know, putting it up to the sun here, I can just barely see through it, but I mean, I think, you know, for style, that's perfect. The head's still on it, you know, so we don't have a problem with head retention like we had last time with the sweet stout, so that's good. I like it. Go for the smell. You get a little bit of the peanut butter, a lot less than I was hoping for. You definitely smell some chocolate, and I do smell some booziness to it. Like, I smell that there's alcohol in here, so hopefully that doesn't transfer too much into the taste. I don't think it's desirable in the style, but we'll see what's up. Let's give it a taste. That's good. You definitely get a taste of the peanut butter, but just like the smell, it's kind of just faint and subdued. And that's surprising, because I use like 2 pounds of that peanut butter stuff. So, you know, a lot of the recipes I've seen out there talk about using 1 pound of the peanut butter. I said, you know, let's go for 2 and see what happens. You know, if it's too much peanut butter, I think it would almost be impossible to have too much unless I use like 19 pounds of it or something. You know, it really wouldn't have been too off-putting. So, surprised with 2 pounds. I'm still not really smelling it and tasting it, but that's probably in the application of where I'm using it, and we'll talk about that in the end, I think. Nice chocolate malt backbone. I love. I think the combination of everything we use worked well together. The chocolate wheats, the British chocolate, the cocoa nibs, and that carafa, I think, laid a nice backbone for the chocolate, especially as you let it sit. And we're going to talk about the mouthfeel here. It's medium, coats the tongue nicely. I think even though for style this is probably overcarbonated, for me personally, it's not off-putting. I think if this went to BJCP or something, you know, it'd get dinged for that, but nothing terrible. You know, overall, I'd say it's good, 3 out of 5. I think not a home run, but I think, you know, definitely a double, maybe a triple, I don't know. What can we do to improve on this, you know? I think, as I alluded to, where I use the peanut butter could maybe make a difference. So I used half in the boil with 10 minutes to go, and then I used the other half in secondary when I transferred. And I had a chance to talk to a brewery here locally who actually does a peanut butter chocolate stout, and they told me they use all their peanut butter addition in the boil. So I think if I tried this next time, I would load it all into the boil, and I'd probably still use 2 pounds again just to, you know, keep it control, and see if that gives me any more of the smell and flavor that I'm looking for. For the chocolate, I think I'd leave it as is. I think I would use the 4 ounces of, you know, chocolate wheat, the 4 ounce of the British chocolate, and use the 4 ounce of nibs again. I wouldn't change anything there. For the malts, I may go a little more traditional in the chocolate or a stout. So I know we use Maris Otter, and there's some Victory in there. I might just try to keep it a little more simple. Just use a little bit of caramel, use maybe a British 2-row, you know, pale malts, and let the chocolate and the peanut butter try to be the star rather than trying to have the malts intermingle in there and trying to, you know, combine with those. And then I think maybe just a touch of roast. So I know we had the dehusked carafa, but I'd like just a little bit of roastiness, maybe just a little bit of roasted barley, or maybe, yeah, I'm not sure, just a touch of it. You know, I think too much would be off-putting for this, but I'd like to know that it is a stout, just a touch of it. So maybe just like 2 to 4 ounces of some roasted barley in there would kind of kick this up to be like, oh, that's a stout with some chocolate. So other than that, I think, you know, I wouldn't change, you know, much else. So I'm definitely going to be trying this one again. I'll definitely update everybody into kind of that experiment and see if it comes out any better. And in the meantime, I'd love to hear what you guys think, how you guys would have done it differently. You know, if there's something you think we nailed, let us know. So with that being said, I think that's going to wrap up the episode. Thanks for watching. I'm Preston. This is the Beer Chasers. We'll see you later.
Beer is good! Beer is good! Beer is good! And stop! Beer is good! Beer is good! Beer is good! Let's go drink some beer!